In this video, I'm going to go through the exact 3-step framework that my clients are using to add 10 to 20,000 in new monthly recurring revenue within 90 days just from LinkedIn. All right. Now, if you don't know me, I'm Oaken Mulholland. I run Outbound Intent and now Outbound Intent 2.0. And essentially, I coach agencies, coaches, and consultants on how to generate more leads and money on LinkedIn. All right. So just before I jump into the training, I'm just going to go through a couple of these messages which I get from my clients directly in the WhatsApp one-to-ones of the kind of results that they've been having. So I'm just going to share a few wins. All right. So this is Fabian, and when he first came to me, he was really struggling on LinkedIn. He had under 1,000 followers. He had under 200 connections. All right. Now he had been working for the past few months with 2 top LinkedIn ghostwriting agencies. All right. He was about 10K in the hole and had made literally zero money from LinkedIn and really needed to make it work. Now, within a month of him implementing this strategy, all right, he had booked 17 calls. All right. And he had already closed 14,000 in monthly recurring revenue at a 22% close rate. All right, so absolutely smashed it with this really, really simple process. All right, we have more messages here. So 3,500 closed, 500 away from his all-time high, 18,500 in total revenue, 4 calls this week, 11,932 calls booked, 24K, just on my 4th client of the month. Boom, this stuff works, guys. You can see, all right. This stuff works for me, works for my clients, and it's such a simple process that you could literally put it inside of your business and go try it straight after this training. So before I jump into the 3 steps, what I want to do is just kind of cover where people kind of screw up. All right. So specifically with outreach, people screw up by getting in one of 2 buckets, right? When they do their outreach, either they end up in the pitch slap zone or they end up in the friend zone. Now, pitch slapping is essentially just reaching out to people with a copy and paste script where they just offer their thing. We've all seen them in the DMs, and you end up with this big paragraph of I do this, blah, 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 blah. Here's my calendar link, book a call. And those people don't book calls. Even if they do, they're trash calls and they're just a complete waste of time. And every single other person who doesn't book a call is just a burnt lead, all right? Because those people instantly just say, he's a sales guy and he can bugger off, all right? So it's a really, really poor framework to reach out with. All right. Then you have the friendship zone. And the friendship zone is almost worse, in my opinion, because what ends up happening is you end up in these conversations with people where you just spend hours in conversations and you just waste all of your time. And then if anything, you kind of get to this point where you're like, I need to make a pitch at some point. All right. I need to actually sell this guy. And then you just your palms start sweating, you feel all anxious, and you kind of feel like, is this the time? I'm not really sure. And then you just pitch slap them, and then the whole thing goes dead, and you're like, well, that was a 2-hour conversation of nonsense that I just completely wasted. And it's really, really frustrating. And this is where people seem to be mostly these days, because we've had so many years of pitch slapping on LinkedIn that people have gone so far the opposite way and kind of just brown nose each other and end up in this friend zone, which is really, really unproductive and fundamentally just a waste of time for everybody. So those are the 2 kind of buckets where people screw up and where people get kind of stuck. They either just burn all their leads or they just friend zone themselves and then burn the lead anyway. All right. So there's a really simple 3-step framework in which we can solve this. Now, I'm going to start with the first one, which is ACA. It's acknowledge, compliment, ask. All right. Now, fundamentally, this is how we have a normal conversation with real humans in the real world. Okay. So before I jump into the scripts, acknowledge, it builds relevance. You're acknowledging the reason why you're reaching out, the reason why you're starting a conversation with that person. And generally, we want to use intent triggers, but even if it is cold, then we're just acknowledging the fact that they accepted our connection request. All right. So appreciate the connection, man. Right. Can be as simple as that. Or, hey, thanks for liking my recent post. Or, saw you checked out my profile. All right. A very simple acknowledgement. A compliment. This is probably the part where people screw up the most, and they brown nose. They over compliment. They say, I love 6 different things about your business, and send a big paragraph of ultimately empty nonsense, which makes people cringe. All right. Now, a compliment just needs to be personalization. All right. It just needs to be a very simple 1-sentence thing of notice you're 9 months into the new business. Congrats. All right, something like that. Very, very simple. Congrats on being a founder for the last 6 months, or congrats on launching the new business, or congrats on the thing they posted about yesterday. Very, very simple. All right, then ask is direction. All right, so then you're directing the chat into a way that you want it to go. Okay. Now, fundamentally, that is how you have a conversation with a real human, right? Let's say you saw somebody across the street and you're like, hey man, you walk up to them and you're like, hey man, I just saw you from over there, right? You're looking really well. Or like, I just caught you from over the street and thought I'd come say hi, acknowledge, all right? Building relevance, that's why you came over to them, all right? Compliment, you go, hey, you're looking really well. Or like, nice jacket, or something like that, all right? You don't tell them that you love their hair, their phone, their shoes, their face, their beard, their bald ass head. Like, you just compliment one thing, all right? You just say, hey man, you're looking really well, right? And then you ask a question. You're like, how are you doing? How's the family? What are you up to today? You ask a question. So fundamentally, this is just a framework for being a human, if you put it in the most simple way possible, all right? Now, you can do this in 3 different ways on LinkedIn, all right? Depending on how kind of warm that person is. If that person is much warmer, we can go in with the offer. If that person is much colder, you might want to start a conversation or give away value first, all right? So here's a quick example of each, okay? So Dave, appreciate the ad. Saw you've been putting out some YouTube content. Nice flow. What's the goal with the videos? You just playing around for now, or are you looking to generate leads with them, okay? That's a really nice, very easy flow to come into a conversation. You can see these little arrows, these mean send, okay? So you're sending 3 different messages, like you're texting somebody, like it's a very natural conversation to have. Giveaway is where you actually just give away a piece of value of something to someone. So, hey Dave, appreciate the comment on my recent conversion flow post yesterday. Congrats on 9 months with the new startup. No joke. It's no joke. I've got a checklist I use to help early stage SaaS teams tidy up conversion. Happy to send it over if it's useful, no obligation. So it's personalized, it's relevant, right? It's relevant because they commented on your thing, which was to do with conversion, right? And then you're congratulating them on something because it's a recent new stage startup, right? So you've made sure that they're ICP, essentially, right? And you reach out with a thing that could be valuable to somebody like them. That builds reciprocity. Now, when you build reciprocity in a conversation, it builds so much trust as long as that thing you're giving away is actually valuable. And then you've got the offer. Now, if somebody's a much warmer lead, then you can do this. Let's say that they've sent you a follow, right? Or they've sent you a connection request, and that person has also commented on a bunch of your stuff and liked a bunch of your stuff, and you can see that they're an active kind of person, right? Now, this also works if you are somebody with lots of authority. So let's say you're a big account, or bigger account, and you have lots of authority with the people who do follow you, you can be much more direct in your outreach, all right? People just, because they see you, they trust you, they like you more. So, hey Dave, appreciate the follow. Saw your post on long work hours too, it hit home, right? Quick intro, I help execs lose 10 pounds and reduce brain fog in 6 weeks without missing any calls. If you're ever curious, give me a shout. No stress if not, happy to have you here. All right, so it's almost a pitch thing, but it's just like, if you're ever curious, let me know. If not, no stress, happy to have you here. So it's really soft, it's really easy. But if you have more authority, or if you're somebody who just spends less time on the platform or something like that, you can use this approach to reach out to people. You can also use this approach more with people who are less engaged on the platform. So execs are generally, as a rule of thumb, versus like a ghostwriter or something, they are much less engaged on the platform. They're going to respond better to more direct response outreach because they're super busy, and to be honest, that's generally how they operate. So keep your ICP in mind. But that is a really simple ACA framework. It's literally just acknowledge, compliment, ask, and then depending on how warm the lead is, you might start a conversation, give something away, or offer something to them. All right? Cool. Step 2 is you move into the GAP framework. GAP is goals, actions, and problems. All right. So essentially, where do they want to go? What are they currently doing? Where do they want to be? Where are they now? And what's in the way? Okay. Very, very simple. It's a series of 3 questions. And fundamentally, all you need to do is acknowledge what they said before and ask a question. Generally, I ask it in that order as well. So where would you like to go? Like, what's the goal with the business on LinkedIn? And they'll say, oh, well, I want to hit 10K, then it's 90 days. Perfect. Or whatever their goal is. It's like, hey, what's the goal, with your fitness journey? What's the goal with, fill in the blank? Okay. And then, well, what are you currently doing to achieve that? Okay, cool. So like, what strategies are you currently using to generate leads on LinkedIn? Boom, easy, all right? And then they're like, oh, we're doing this, that, and the other. And I'm like, all right, okay, cool. What are you struggling with the most? I might be able to send over some resources to help. Okay, so like you're just positioning yourself as somebody who has authority, can help, and also just somebody who has childlike curiosity, all right? You're literally just interested in that person and what they have to say and where they are in their business, right? And if you ask the right questions and you ask them soft enough and you acknowledge, it's really easy to just go through this flow. So, and if that person is warm, that person sometimes just gives you all the information anyway. So if you ask about their goals, sometimes they're like, oh, well, my goals are this, but I've been posting content and actually reaching out for people for a while, but I'm not getting any responses and it's really driving me nuts. It's like, okay, cool. So they just answered all 3 questions at once, and I can just be like, hey, look, I've got this thing, happy to show you how it works on a call if you like. I'm like, cool. Which takes us to the next stage, which is just bridge the gap. Right? You're just going to position your offer as the bridge between their current actions and their future goals over their problem and pain. Okay, so essentially you're building a path of least resistance with your offer. And to do this, all you need to do is mention the goals they mentioned, the actions they mentioned, and potentially the pain and problem that they mentioned, right? So for me, a really great one is, I think that I could probably help you get to, move that 3 to 5 leads a week up to like 7 to 10 leads a week, without actually having to post more. Do you think it would make sense for us to have a quick call and I can show you exactly how? Somebody who's just told me where they want to go, what they're currently doing and what their problem is. If I just say, hey, I might be able to solve that problem with the thing that I have, do you think it would make sense for us to have a quick call sometime next week? Or are you open to getting some help with this? That person is like, well, yes, right? So it makes it really, really simple if you just follow these frameworks, all right? So this is honestly the exact framework that my clients are using to close 10 to 20K in new monthly recurring revenue on LinkedIn. It's very, very simple. It's very easy to implement, and it's exactly what I teach inside of my program. So guys, thanks for watching. I hope that was really, really helpful. And if you are looking for some help to generate more leads on LinkedIn, then there's going to be some links down below. Hit those, or just shoot me a follow on LinkedIn and follow my stuff for all the free help. Guys, peace.